Welcome to this episode of Consider It Blacklit. I am Kim, your host, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, Consider It Blacklit highlights films, television programs, and stage plays that feature African Americans both in front of the camera and behind the scenes. We also discuss social issues as it relates to some of these productions and how they may or may not impact our communities. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in each week. Today we will discuss the independent film Title VII. It is based on Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act that prohibits employment discrimination based on gender, religion, nationality, and race. Title VII, this movie, focuses on same-race discrimination. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Destiny.
Get out of the car, and I mean now.
I've got a friend in the mayor's office. Maybe she could help you with your,
Black pass. This isn't the right place for you.
Is there something that concerns you?
She's like a Mississippi water fountain. Whites only.
How did you get through?
It's all about optics.
And black people aren't part of that image? I need you to trust me.
I won't, but you're hired, because I'm going to enjoy every second of watching you sweat.
My day's been really shitty so far. I got people staring at my ass and judging my tits.
Great dress.
So it's okay for the boys to break the rules, and they're rewarded no matter what they do or who they do? Where is your support for the women?
Spare me the vagina monologue.
Fuck you over like you did to me.
Jesus Christ.
Get some therapy, Darky. You can afford it.
This place is like a level 10 stressful.
Hillary!
No! No! No!
Today joining us, we have the co-writer and the director of Title VII, Nicole Franklin. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yes, I'm so glad to have her. This is a busy lady. It's hard tracking her down. But before we start talking about the movie, why don't you've been in the business for a while, why don't you tell people about yourself and some of the other projects you worked on?
Oh, sure. Thank you again. I've been in television for a very long time. And television is where I want to return as a director. Mm-hmm. So getting a film out there, I heard, was to get the maximum audience for whatever story you're trying to tell. Mm-hmm. So I started in documentary about almost 18 years ago. Wow. That's like a person, right? An adult. And so very first documentary on Double Dutch Jump Rope, and it went on Sundance Channel, which was really great. And did 2 more films on Double Dutch. And the Double Dutch Divas, everybody loved them, and I was so honored to have them as the focus of my film, as well as young girls and young boys jumping in competition. Because I grew up in news television, I'm 27 years in news television as a video editor. I started when I was 3. Yeah, so news naturally led to documentary is my very first foray into filmmaking. Okay. And I really like staying there for the purpose, the social issue of it, as well as I love documentary. But I did want to get back into narrative. You know, I grew up watching stories on television and films where I wanted to see more of us, you know, in my circumstance, and just the well-rounded Black community, African American experience. And seeing a way in, news led to docs, led to fictional narrative pieces, and did shorts. And then the big feature came when we filmed last year.
I know, Title VII.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, I read somewhere where you did it on a micro budget.
Yes.
And you filmed in a short period of time. I mean, short for a feature.
Yeah.
Why don't you just kind of briefly talk about your approach in doing that?
Yes. So the original approach was to do a 15-day shoot, which was still going to be very fast. For a micro-budget feature. A micro-budget feature was a way to get me into television, directing episodic television. You have to show a feature now to show that you know how to deal with character development and storytelling. And I think managing a feature-sized piece for the area I want to get into, which is 1 hour episodic drama. I'd love to direct some primetime things. So I said, okay, I have to do a micro budget feature. Absolutely fine. Now, how do I do it? And so I actually teach a course on it now called Film a Feature in 8 Days.
Oh, wow.
Because we had to reduce the schedule by half because we'd run out of money. So micro budget to me is under $100,000. And we had the gift of the opportunity I had to go and speak at a school, Fairleigh Dickinson in New Jersey, and the film chair asking, I'm wondering if you would join us in a program I'm trying to start here. And I said, yeah, what's up? And he said, whatever your next project is, do you mind having the students work as crew? Real crew, not PAs. And I said, well, if I can bring in my keys, he said, you can bring in anybody who you want, just bring them in, and it'll be a teaching lab as well as you get your project done, and hopefully, we all work well together and get the project completed. So I said, okay, and not only did he offer crew, but equipment and locations.
Wow, that's great.
So that was 2015. We filmed in the summer of 2016, and it's all done in prep. So having about a year to plan was the best way to do it because we had many drafts of the script. The script came from a book that fell into my lap from the wonderful author Daisy M. Jenkins. This is her first book.
Oh, okay.
But she's a retired corporate lawyer who had been through these situations with clients and had seen this firsthand.
Now, I know that as you see from the trailer, it was shot in black and white. What made you decide to do that?
Well, two of us decided to do that. So my DP is Sibel Martin, and she's fantastic. She's well known in the indie world and getting well known in the studio world. So we're very proud of her as a female DP doing features. And we had been wanting to work together for a long time. So we've been talking about Title VII probably about 6 months before we decided to do black and white, and we came to that decision separately. She sent me an email saying, here's why we should shoot black and white. And I've had conversations about this is the color scheme I want, and inside the office it'll be this, and when they go outside it'll just glow, and inside it's just deep and dark. And when she sent me that email, for about a week, black and white was just playing in my head as well. So she had very technical reasons. Plus, I think it'll be a nice tone for black and white. And that's where I came in with, that's what I want. It's the mood. The subject is about black and white.
Right.
And it just led to it. It set the mood for it. And all of these things that happen, the film takes, the course of a day is what the film is about. It's like what happens in the course of one day. Everything happens to this CEO in the course of one day. And you can't believe it unless you're suspending reality. So the surreal quality of black and white, I think, helps out a lot. And we've screened it in front of some audiences, and they said, we can't imagine it not in black and white.
It was very effective. So let's talk a little bit about the story. At the beginning, the main character, Miss Kelsey, gets stopped by the police, and they take her out, put her on her knees. And I noticed that many of the people going into work were her employees. They just walked by and didn't intervene or anything. And initially I thought it was strange, but when you get more into the story, you can see she's kind of hard to work for. But let's just talk a little bit about what your thought process is of why they just kind of just walked by her when the police had her down on her knees in handcuffs.
That scene in the book, it just left off the pages as a scene. And then we had those moments in our time of Sandra Bland and all the Say Her Name women. And that's resonating and probably will be, unfortunately, for the next decade. And we should remember this has happened recently and this may continue to happen, unfortunately. And so that stood out. We didn't change anything about that. Whether it's sitting on the grass, no, she's on her knees in a puddle. So, and interesting that you picked up the employees didn't say anything. Yeah, in the book, it's hard to see your boss, a man. I mean, it's, what do you say, his ego. And she's, Hillary Kelsey is pretty much an anti-hero. And she carries this male ego, kind of, she's very ballsy, And the way she treats her employees, they're just wanting to keep their job and pay attention to everything. This is a black woman who does not hire black employees. And I think the white employees in the office notice that, and they just want to keep their job and do what's right and make the money for the company. And they do not have that experience. At least a lot of them don't. And so it's very uncomfortable for everybody.
So they're probably walking by because they were like, this is not something that happens to us, so we don't even really know what we should be doing.
And
let me just go into the office.
And one of my actors actually said, I would never go near a situation because then I'll get shot.
Let's talk a little bit more about the movie. Within the movie, there was a lot of inappropriate behavior for the workplace. I mean, let's just give some examples, because I was sitting there going, really? This dude did that?
Everybody does something. It's bad behavior at work all day long. Sexual discrimination.
The racial jokes.
The racial jokes. Oh my gosh. And the ages of, between two women, that, you're my girl, you're my friend, but I'm taking you off this project. And she did the project. She made the project happen and materialize. And it's like, what's going on?
And that seemed to be the norm for the office place. It was just amazing. I was like, wow. But you could still, like, people who work in corporate America can still identify with a lot of things that went on there.
Yes.
That was very interesting.
And it comes from the top.
Right. I like the main character. Am I pronouncing her name correctly? Chikava
Honeychild.
Honeychild.
Yes.
I thought she was phenomenal in the role, playing the super B person, the boss to work for. How did she become involved with the project? How did you find her?
I've known her a very long time. Okay. Yeah, she's a burlesque performer, and I knew her before burlesque. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I've watched her evolve, and I'm big fans of the burlesque show that she does with Brown Girls Burlesque and on her own.
She's part of Brown Girls. I've heard of them.
Yes. A big fan. And then when I knew her before, she was here as an actress. She's from Colorado, and she moved to New York and been in a few things, and she's a good actress. Now, when she called me, because she saw I was doing a film, a feature, she called me within that year before and said, Nicole, I'm acting again, going out and pursuing acting roles. Do you have a role in your film? And I had already cast the role. And I said, no, actually, I have no more roles available. And she's like, what? And I said, yeah, I only have a role for one black woman. And she's like, what kind of film is Nicole Franklin doing with one black woman in the film? And so I said, I'm so sorry. So then when it didn't work out with the actress that was cast, that we knew about that a month before we shot.
Oh, wow.
And so I got on the phone with Chikava and I said, hello, you have a lead role. Please take the script, tell me what you think of it, but you have the lead, so let me know.
And I like this actor. Brian Anthony Wilson played her father in there. How did he become involved with the project?
Well, Craig T. Williams of Redwall Productions has worked with a number of actors, so go to Redwall if you want casting and writing, done well, and producing and everything. And Brian had worked with them before. So I got to call Brian up and have him answer the phone because I was like, hi, I'm working with Craig T. Williams. Craig's working with me on my film. And so he's listening about it. And then I said, here's what the script is about. And you have a very crucial role. And I'd love to send it to you and see your thoughts. He said, great. And he called, he texted, he made sure he got me, and he said, I want in.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So the character of Daryl Montgomery.
Yes.
He came to the office in an interview and ended up staying all day. And it seemed like he was absorbed into the inappropriate behavior. And I don't want to give it away because it's a little twist at the end. It's like, oh, wow. But, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that he did when he was in the office.
He had been studying the office. I mean, this is a job that he wanted to get. So, of course, you do your research. And he was attracted to the fact that here is a black female CEO. So he comes in as a black man to get the job. But as I told the actor and where this film was going, he has a mission, to get in there, get that job, and mission completed. And I've got to give kudos to the actor. So many people do. They're like, that his name is Fidel Vicioso. He is amazing. They're like, that lead actor, wow.
Yeah, he was amazing in that role.
Yeah, just fantastic. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the relationship between the main character and her father.
Yes.
I noticed it tended to vacillate. I mean, at one point she was like, well, I'm really trying to get his approval. I want to be with him. And then another moment she was like, you know what? You'll never see me again. Let's talk a little bit about that, and also how a relationship with her father influenced how she treated her employees, because she treated them poorly.
Every single one of them. It was equal opportunity hate. Haterade, right?
Yeah.
Chakava actually told me when we had our first rehearsal, she said, it all starts for me right here. And it was the pages with her father, which are later in the script. And that history is our history. And when people see it, and if you're Black or any ethnicity, if you've dealt with colonization and oppression, that divided, conquer them by dividing them up, that's what plays into their relationship. They bring that whole ancestral history into father and daughter, and the mother that is not there anymore. And she can't escape it because they never confronted it the way they do in the film. So if they had not talked about it and saw how much it affected the both of them, and let's just break it down, it was about light skin, dark skin. He calls her darky. And it's shocking to hear, and it's like, who said that in the last 25, 30 years? But people do still say it. And it's hurtful, it's painful, it's everything. And she carried that with her. So there was going to be no dark skin, light skin, nothing up in her office. She was not hiring any other person that reminded her of the pain she was going through, but that she wouldn't recognize and acknowledge. So when he walks in, and he's a guy who formed the company, and she can't even acknowledge that. The employees had no idea.
That was her father.
That was her father, and everything he had done. I mean, in a way, it was supposed to be for her, but he couldn't admit that he was going to have any love for her because of how she, came into the world, and the fact that she was darker meant that things went awry in the relationship he had with the mother.
She will have to definitely see the movie to get all the little details. There's a lot of little twists and turns in here.
A lot of little twists and turns. One audience member said the other night that she was exhausted. Our film is 72 minutes long, and she's like, every frame you had something happening. I'm exhausted, Nicole. I'm exhausted. But this is exhausting, being Black, carrying this history around is exhausting for us as well. But like I said, it hits a lot of ethnicities too. When I said I was doing a film about same-race discrimination, we got a lot of phone calls from different ethnic groups. And hopefully it's a healing process. Watch the film, have a discussion, and let's talk and communicate.
Talk about what our issues are. Well, I have to talk about there was a unexpected nude scene. It was unexpected because it all takes place in the office. You don't expect somebody to come out there butt naked. But let's just talk about because there's some other things that happen around it that you have to see the film to really, get the full details for it. But just talk about, that particular scene in terms of how the actors, we were talking about it earlier about the actors feeling a little uncomfortable about it.
Yeah, not Chakava. Chakava was absolutely fine with it.
Oh, the burlesque, she was fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next. No, I'm kidding. That was not in the original script.
Okay.
It was not in the book.
Oh, okay.
I feel the book was a little bit more of a Christian book. And I was terrified for Daisy, the author, to watch it. And she came to the world premiere we had at the Hollywood Black Film Festival. I'm literally almost like holding her hand. I'm like, okay, close your eyes here. It's not going to be good. She's like, no, I'm fine. Because it kept the essence of the material. And when, Fidel's asking me when we first met on the phone, how do you plan to shoot this, And I tell a lot of directors now, if you have a nude scene, sex scene, something extremely intimate where two people who just met have to, get it going, you're going to get that question a lot. And maybe to the actors, it's about camera angles. But to me as a director, it's about what was the intention of the scene. and she's at a very vulnerable point. So Chicago was fine with it because of where she was in the story. And it was just the vulnerability. And yeah, she's ballsy starting out, but she sheds that skin. And I think at one point, maybe at that point, we feel for her, you know.
Because that is interesting. She's a very strong character in the movie. And you're like, I would never want to have her as my boss. But then I like the movie because you did feel some sympathy for her.
Yes.
You really understood what her situation was. So that was very well done in communicating that to the audience with this movie.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And we had the actors who were willing to play. I mean, I got to give it to them. The cast is phenomenal. We had 6 days of rehearsal, and I gave them all character bios to just start with something, you know, and walk into rehearsal knowing who they were and having our questions start from there. And they just all grabbed it and ran with it. And it's fun being bad, I guess.
Now, you had mentioned briefly about your co-writer, Craig T.
Williams.
Right? Tell us a little more about him.
Yes, other than the fact that he's an excellent writer, has been around for a long time. I called him up to be a producer on the project because I knew he could knock it out, you know, with his eyes closed. And so when he said, let me read the script, got back to me a couple of days later and said, Nicole, I want to talk to you about the script. Now, the way I had written 3 drafts of this adaptation already is that the story is going to take place over 4 weeks. We had a banquet scene. You're a filmmaker, you know. I'm spending tons of money I don't have at this point in this script. And he said, Nicole, you're trying to shoot a $130,000 film on $30,000. He said, now what if this happened? And he's telling me about the person coming to interview, which is Daryl Montgomery's character, coming in for that 9:30 a.m. interview, being the black man that she doesn't want any black people in her office, being the disruptor for the day. Yet he comes in and says, I could solve all your problems in a day. And that's what got us on the one-day course of events. And I said, sounds fabulous, Craig. I love it. I can afford it. I don't have any time to write it. And he was calling me, he was calling me to turn down the job. Then he's like, okay, I guess I could write it. I said, yeah, when can you have it by? He's like, 2 weeks? Sounds great. All right, see you in 2 weeks. I mean, that's the way people rallied. I was just so blessed. Thank you, Craig.
You know, did a great job.
He did a fantastic job. He's terrific. Hire him, please. You know, he was great, and we got to play.
Good. So I know you've been on a lot of festivals. You want to tell us some of the festivals you've been in and what the audience reaction has been? Yes,
sure. The first was Urban World. That was not our premiere. We were in a program called Clips and Conversations.
Okay.
So grateful for Urban World calling. Thank you, Gabrielle Glore, and the team over there. For saying, hey, this seems like an interesting dialogue. You know, everyone is saying, why, how, did you really want to go there with the same race discrimination conversation? Yeah, I think it's time, you know. So Dr. Jeff Gardier, who is America's psychologist, and he's on a lot of TV shows, loved the topic too. He's done some Facebook Live feeds with us, and he came to Urban World. So our clips were about 20 minutes, and then we had a moderated panel from Mo Kansikama from Image Nation. She's moderating. We're up there as the cast with Dr. Jeff Gardier, having this wonderful conversation about what it means to be the HNIC and why do we do that? You know, also when I read the book, the reason I was drawn to the material, other than the fact that I had to shoot something in a year, and it took place in one office, which I was like, great, is that it affected me because I went through this at 19 years old, where I was at an all-black firm, and the woman who was my supervisor could not stand me. I wasn't hired. I was 19. I was an intern. I was going to be gone in 3 months. And she was just terrible to me. And I was led to believe that I wasn't wanted there. And I wasn't sure if anybody else knew or if everybody was talking about me the way she said. Nobody wanted me there. It was awful. And I was thinking, why are we doing this to ourselves? I have to come to work every day completely defiled and upset. I was like, what is going on? So that was a terrible summer. It was a terrible summer all the way around. And when I had the courage, my cousin actually told me how to handle it, and I had the courage to write a letter to her superiors, and just to say, if any other intern goes through this, I just want to say I had this experience. Maybe you want to watch out for it next time, because I don't think that was normal. I really wanted to like working there. I want to come back possibly and work with the future, blah, blah. And her superiors were in shock.
Wow.
Yeah, and they said we wouldn't have given her a double promotion had we known, had you just come to us. So it was an all-black firm, but there was that one person. And I thought I was the one person. I thought I was a terrible person. I was doing everything I thought that was right. But anyway, that can affect your health, obviously your finances and everything. So jump back to Urban World. We're having this conversation and realizing that this film is a great dialogue piece. Fast forward to our world premiere at the Hollywood Black Film Festival, and recently in New Jersey, we had a New Jersey premiere, the Women in Media Newark Festival. The audience is not quiet when the film is on. And it's not, and it's not because we're at a black theater or anything like that, which, you know, the reputation about how we are at the show. It makes you uncomfortable. There's nervous laughter. There's gasps, a lot of gasps, and like, oh Lord, oh no, oh what? You know, I love hearing that, and every time, you know, when it's done, compliments to the cast, compliments to the crew, and then they want to talk. And if it helps anybody, then we've done our
that's
job.
Extra. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to see the film,
Yes.
where could they go? Where could they find information out about the film?
Well, please come to my website. Maybe that's easiest.
Yes, and we're going to actually post it on the show.
Excellent.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
NicoleFranklin.com/cine. If you just go to NicoleFranklin.com, you'll find it. But /CINE for cinema, city. And they'll find a lot of information there, because we're in the festival circuit now. So you're going to have to catch us when we hit your town.
Okay.
And it will be streaming, but I'm not sure if it's this year or next year, because we're talking some deals right now. And maybe we can get it in a bigger space and then go streaming. But once we're streaming, we want you guys to pick it up. And I think you're going to want to watch it 2 or 3 times because of what happens, you know, at the end of the film. You're going to be like, wait a minute. I got to see that again, because I'm like picking up things, or did I pick up things? And what? So.
Oh, that's great. Well, you know what? We're running out of time. I would love to sit here and speak to Nicole all night long about Title VII. I really enjoyed the film. We're going to put up on the screen where you can get information about it. And that's our time for today. Until next time, consider yourself blacklit. Thank you for joining us.